This coming week is Memorial Day, where as a nation we'll pause to honor the courageous men and women who sacrificed everything for the freedoms that we enjoy. But back at home, veterans continue to face issues every single day. What are those issues and how can we help them? I'll be discussing those questions and more coming up right here, right now. I'm Sam Chen, and this is Face the Issues. Good evening and welcome to Face the Issues. Memorial Day is coming up right around the corner. And each year, as a nation, we pause and we remember the courageous men and women who gave everything for the freedoms that we enjoy today. But back at home, veterans, they're confronted with issues and challenges every single day. What are those issues and how can we as the public help them in their journeys? Joining me tonight on Face the Issues is a friend and a mentor, Jason Lane, Chief Petty Officer in the United States Naval Reserves and the veteran of Operation Iraqi Freedom. Jason, thank you so much for joining us.
Sam, thanks for having me today.
Absolutely. Let's start at 30,000 foot level. You're a veteran. First, thank you for your service to our country, both in the military and also you've been serving in the federal government as a civilian since. And so thank you for your service. Let's start open-ended. We always talk about thanking veterans and how grateful we are for veterans. But veterans face issues every single day when they come home. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. I think when we talk about the challenges that veterans face, Sam, the best thing to do is find out that there's no stereotype that every veteran faces this issue, issue 1, 2, or 3. What happens is they may have a medical issue that requires care from a doctor. They may want to look to buy a home, to start a family. They may be looking to get education, to find a job if they're going to be transitioning out of the military. So the issues that veterans face, they're varied.
Yeah. It seems like they face a lot of the issues that everyday people face, the same challenges, buying a home, medical problems. I think a lot of times, and I know you and I have talked about this before, where veterans have served and we kind of forget sometimes that they come home and they face the same problems that we face in everyday life, a veteran's going to face as well.
I was talking with a friend of mine about that, and it's what's normal. That at the end of the day, they have the same concerns and the same issues. You know, they're looking to have a roof over their head, you know, put food on the table for themselves and their family, and also clothing on them as well. So there are certain things that are specific to veterans, but a lot of them are crossover.
Sure. And you served overseas in Iraq. And what is that transition like coming home from being overseas? And I mean, certainly, the first thing that comes to my mind is I could never stand the heat of Iraq. But other than, and I lived in Texas for 6 years, and I don't think I could withstand the heat. But other than the weather, climate changes that kind of would make sense, what are the unspoken changes or challenges that a veteran has coming back and then facing the same everyday challenges that we face?
Okay, I want to start actually before you deploy. One of the things that was given to me was a checklist of things that I wanted to think about trying to prepare before I went, because you could imagine if you don't do some planning ahead, you might find that you have bigger issues to deal with when you get back home. So doing the pre-deployment checklists are really important for yourself and for your family. When you're there, I think it really depends where you are stationed and what mission you're supporting. Are you in a support role, a combat support role, or a combat support role? And then realistically, what's the operational tempo for your unit, your division, who you're there with? Those are all the really critical things. For me personally, it was 12-hour days and pretty much 7 days a week for the time that I was overseas.
Wow.
So coming back, that gives you what I was doing prior to coming home, going full speed for my time and then coming home. So the biggest transition for me coming home was I no longer had just my job, my mission, and taking care of others on my plate. I had the family, I had house responsibilities, shopping, learning to drive again, or remembering how to drive, and getting my feet under myself. And I think the biggest challenge for me, though, was really reestablishing the relationships with people.
Sure.
Because life goes on while you're away,
Right.
and you see that they did okay without you,
Right.
potentially. You
Right.
know, and for me, in that case, my family and friends, they absolutely got along without me. So
Yeah. Wow. I don't think that's something that we think about civilians on a regular basis. Just pulling out of your life for X number of months or years, and then just reinserting yourself into that.
yeah,
That's tough, and I think that's probably also where a lot of the challenges come in with veterans. One of the ones that we hear a lot, you mentioned earlier, was jobs. As a veteran, as someone in the military service, that is also your job, right? It's not just a way of life; that is your job. And so, when you leave the service, you're not simply just leaving a club; you are leaving your career. And what are the big challenges facing veterans as far as jobs go?
as far as jobs, you want to be able to translate your military skill set to something that a civilian employer can understand. Not every job, like a nurse or a doctor, might have a clear translation and get you a job. So they have a transition assistance program that members go through, and the two parts of that go together. There's a military occupational code where what they do is they have folks work with you to translate your job into a civilian skill set. Okay. And then this way it gives you an idea what jobs might be better for you coming out of it. The second piece of that is they have folks from the Department of Labor talking with you, and it gives them the opportunity. This may have been your first job in the service, it may not have been, but they'll go over the interviewing skills, resume building, and potentially using social media for job searching or even networking to find job opportunities.
And are those services available to all veterans? And how would the veteran go about taking advantage of those services?
So the Transition Assistance Program is specifically related to service members who are separating from the military.
Sure.
Okay. And I believe there are employment services available through the VA. I'm not 100% familiar with all of those, though.
Okay. The Bureau of Labor Statistics, every year they put out a study on how veteran unemployment is doing. The good news is that it seems to have a steady decline. More and more veterans are becoming employed. Are you optimistic that that trend is going to continue?
If the economy stays good, then I think it would. It would continue to hover around that mark. And I think there are a lot of factors that go into that along with the economy. The Department of Labor's efforts working with veterans to find employment, the U.S. Chambers program as well, and also I want to say what the veterans bring to the table, stereotypically teamwork, leadership, adaptability, able to work under pressure, things that employers like to have and see in their employees.
Sure. One of the other big challenges I think we hear about a lot, so there's the job side and then there's the medical side. And obviously many of our servicemen and women come back with injuries, disabilities, and they bring a whole new world of challenges. And then there's we always hear these horror stories of veterans trying to get medical care, the VA. A lot of people say the VA is failing them, things like that. What is going on with that? Is it just is it a volume issue? Is it a government bureaucracy issue? And how can veterans overcome those issues that they face?
Okay, I think with veterans benefits in general, it's supply and demand, that there's more demand than there is for resources to administer those programs and those benefits, and that's really the biggest challenge. I've found from my time working in legislative offices, because of just how expansive the benefits are and the information is out there, it's not always easy to find. But the VA does a good job along with other partners, both I want to say private and public sector, to get that information out there. It's a team effort, and one of the things I believe, Sam, is that every day we make veterans and we lose veterans every day, and that's one of our greatest assets to pass along to the next generation, if you will, of veterans, what information's out there and how to navigate the system.
Yeah, if you have a veteran, let's say you're sitting with a veteran, I know you do veterans issues. You're currently a staffer in the United States Senate for Pennsylvania Senator Pat Toomey, and then you used to be a staffer in the House for Congressman Charlie Dent. And that's when you were my mentor and taught me everything that I know. When you sit down with a veteran and they have a medical issue, whether it's a disability issue or something like PTSD, what advice do you give them as far as how they can get help, whether it's from the VA or from one of these private or nonprofit organizations?
Our focus first and foremost is going to be the benefits that are available to them through the VA. That's going to be first and foremost, and I will assess what they're telling me and then make recommendations on getting applications in, if they do not have one already, for medical care through the VA's health system, and potentially a claim to the VA for a disability rating, and get them started that way.
Okay. Great.
And again, so much of it's about listening and hearing what they're saying, and then there might be other things that could be available to them, but we need to at least have a starting point.
Sure, absolutely. Stick around, we'll come back, if that's all right.
Absolutely.
I'm sitting with Jason Lane. He is a veteran of the United States Navy in Operation Iraqi Freedom, also serves as a staffer currently in the United States Senate, formerly in the United States House of Representatives, where he specializes in helping veterans. Don't go away, we'll be right back. Welcome back to Face the Issues. I'm sitting with Jason Lane, Chief Petty Officer in the United States Naval Reserves, and also congressional staffer who specializes in helping veterans with their veterans issues. Jason, thank you again so much for being here.
Thanks again, Sam, for having me.
Absolutely. Where we left off, we were talking about challenges that veterans face, specifically a lot of them coming back looking for jobs or with health and medical issues, disability ratings, things like that. And we talked a little bit about the VA, some of the challenges that the VA has had. At the same time, seems to be a lot of progress with the VA and their ability and capacity with helping veterans. Could you elaborate?
Sure. As far as the veterans that are applying for service-connected disabilities, they have a couple different things that they have in place now. One are decision-ready claims, where the veteran actually works with a veteran service officer to put it together. And what that means is that the claim will be complete. They will not be missing any information, and the goal is to have a decision on that claim within 30 days.
Oh, wow.
Additionally, there's a national work queue, and the national work queue allows claims in the system to be decided by any of the 56 regional offices. So if they have somebody who is available to work a claim and make a decision, has the experience to do that, then they can route that so that if one office is slower and not as overwhelmed, then they can route those to where they have the opening to get those the backlog addressed. And also moving toward a digital format for storing all the documents. You don't have to ask a folder be sent from one office to the other. It's electronically stored, which also helps speed up the process.
Sure. If there's a veteran that says, where do I go? I have this claim, I have this issue, I have this question. Who do I call for help? What do you tell them?
Ideally, I would have them be working with a veteran service officer to start. If they come to our office, we are going to absolutely take it and we're going to route it forward. The service officers are the ones who really make the claims quality and give the veterans the best opportunity to be approved for the disability that they're putting in for.
Sure. Are those service officers, do they work for the VA?
No.
Or how do you get in touch with?
The veteran service officers, there are certain organizations that are accredited to work claims. Additionally, our county directors of Veterans Affairs in Pennsylvania, I believe all of them are certified to work claims.
Okay.
And they have staff that are also trained and certified as well to help.
Sorry. So reach out to that county office or one of those private organizations that are certified in that field.
Absolutely.
Okay. Great. Let's pivot to Memorial Day. We talk about a lot thanking veterans for their service and remembering those who've sacrificed everything. You're a veteran, you served overseas, you're currently still in the Naval Reserves. Can you talk about what that ultimate sacrifice means?
Years ago, I was introduced to an epitaph from the China, Burma, India Theater of War. When you go home, tell them of us and say, for your tomorrow, we give our today. There are men and women throughout our history who, for love of their country, have been willing to die for us. They don't know you, they don't know me, but they are willing to lay down their life. And it can't even really describe the feeling when knowing that there are men and women that have done that for me.
Yeah. And when they do, it's not just them. I mean, we remember the servicemen and women who sacrifice everything, but at home, their families are journeying through that now as well. And sometimes it's not just so-and-so passed at war, but they come home, they go through endless operations and they don't make it, and their families journey through all of that with them. What services are out there for families? And also, what can we in the public be doing to show our support or help and invest in the families that are walking through this journey?
When a service member dies in action, there's they get notified in person, and we've had such situations where parents have been divorced if it was a younger service member or a spouse, and they'll send people to notify everybody who's involved. And then there's a casualty assistance officer who is assigned to that family for the duration. Anything that they need, any questions they have, any resources, they will make sure that they are set up with them. I hate to say I'm not quite as familiar if they have been discharged and they were to pass from their injuries once they're home, what resources are available. I'm not quite as familiar with that.
Sure. And what would your advice be to the public, someone like me, a civilian? What would you say to a civilian, how they can be supportive of those families, those Gold Star families?
I think have a conversation with them and get to know them and be genuine, because families go through a lot of different emotions, and that changes from the moment that they're notified, to a week down the road, to a year down the road, but they're still going to be intense, and be sensitive.
Right.
Be sensitive to their thoughts, their feelings about it, and just be genuine, be there for them.
Yeah. And like I say, you're currently in the Naval Reserves, and you served overseas. You were in Iraq. And what years were you there?
2006 to 2007.
Okay. And you're now an active member of the Reserves. You work with veterans every day. From your perspective and from those that you've met, those that you've served with, what does Memorial Day mean to you?
Memorial Day, to me, it's about honoring those who did make that ultimate sacrifice, and to do that, being the best person I can be, to my family, to my friends, and my community. I think that's the best way, that no matter what I do on Memorial Day, that's what is at the heart of my Memorial Day.
Mm-hmm. And would you give that same advice, or what advice would you give to a non-service member, again, someone like myself, to say, what is the best way we can honor those and thank those who paid that sacrifice? As you said earlier, most of these people we've never met. Yeah. They've never met us. And there's something heartfelt about that this is someone that went and paid the ultimate sacrifice. And everyone that goes runs that risk and knows that they may not come back, and yet they do it. And for us here, with all the freedoms that we enjoy, the fact that we can have this conversation are these freedoms that these men and women have protected and fought for us to have. And so what is the best way for us as civilians, or for me as a civilian, to show that gratitude and honor those who've given that sacrifice?
I don't think it's all that dissimilar, so far as remembering what the day is about.
Sure.
going, you could go to a Memorial Day ceremony where there is a focused attention on those who we've lost. And again, remembering what the day is really about.
Yeah.
And not just having your picnic or going to your sale and saving a couple extra bucks. It's not about that, but really remembering why we are celebrating the day and take it to heart.
Yeah. Jason, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And that is what the holiday is all about. It is remembering those brave men and women who gave everything, not just for our country, but for us, for you and me, and those Gold Star families that continue that journey. Their lives are also forever changed, and it's on us to remember that, to remember the sacrifice that they make, and to live our lives in the way that is both expresses gratitude to them and also honors the sacrifice that they made. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Face the Issues. Memorial Day. It's something in our society where it's marked by sales and picnics and barbecues and cookouts, but there's so much more to that holiday. It's a day that we pause to remember the courageous men and women who sacrificed everything for the freedoms that you and I enjoy every single day. But it's not just Memorial Day that we should remember them. As my guest Jason said earlier, for those who paid the ultimate price, the message they have to us is when you go home, tell them of us and say that for your tomorrow, we gave our today. And it's my hope that those words will be impressed on your hearts and minds this Memorial Day and every day, because without those sacrifices, you and I would not be here today, nor will we enjoy the freedoms that we're enjoying. Usually at this point on this program, we pause and introduce you to a hometown hero, someone that is changing the world through changing their community or setting an example in the way that they're living their lives. I think it is more than appropriate that this week, our hometown heroes are the courageous men and women who have paid that ultimate sacrifice. And our salute to them, as well as to their families, the Gold Star families, that lives have been forever changed because of those sacrifices. So tonight, it's going to be a little bit different. We're not going to come back and close the program, but we're going to close here, right now, thanking you for joining us, but more importantly, thanking all of those who paid that sacrifice, thanking their families who are continuing on that journey. And our pledge to you is that we will never forget and we will never stop praying for you. On behalf of a grateful nation, thank you.